I'm Shu Lin, and welcome to After the Bar. This podcast brings you stories from some of the most accomplished lawyers, former lawyers, and other movers and shakers in the legal industry from around the world. I'm a former lawyer myself, and I've had thousands of coffee chats over the years as a legal recruiter. After the Bar aims to bring some of these conversations to you, giving all of us a glimpse into their world. To receive updates on new episodes, just search Shu Lin Lee on LinkedIn and follow me. So today we have Lin Lee. Lin is the head of group legal at OCBC, a large regional bank in Singapore. She manages one of the largest legal teams in the finance world here. Not only is she an experienced treasury and investment banking legal specialist, she speaks regularly in industry conferences and is also a Maxwell Leadership Team certified speaker, coach, and trainer. Quite a mouthful. So Lin is passionate about leadership based on diversity and inclusion, coaching, and mentoring. So usually in all our podcasts, we always ask our guests to take us to the beginning of their careers. Today, we're going to go off the beaten path and we will be focusing more on Lin's journey as a mentor. So today's conversation will be focused on all things to do with mentorship. Thank you so much, Lin, for being here and being part of the After the Bar podcast.
Oh, I enjoy being here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you, Lin. And Lin, so actually in all our podcasts, usually we ask our guests to start by talking about their career. But with you, we thought of doing something different. So we're going to go off the beaten path and we're going to focus more on your journey as a mentor. So today's conversation will be all about mentorship. Okay, so I'm just going to get right to it.
Yeah, that's my pet topic. So I'm definitely happy to share as much as I can.
Okay, great. So in all our conversations and over the years, Lin, that I've known you, I know that mentoring has been a very strong interest for you. Just want to ask, how did it take such a strong hold in your leadership style?
I have to say that, my leadership evolved over the years, but it was something that stayed with me when I was a young lawyer. So I had my fair share of good and bad bosses. And, it got me thinking about why am I specifically loyal to a particular boss, or why would I put in 110% for someone, whereas someone who may not be on my list of favorite bosses, I just give them what I need to deliver the end report. And then I thought about it and I realized that actually, the bosses who had a special place in my heart made me feel like I was being appreciated. They value me for my work and they were actually supporting me and helping me in my career. And then when I thought further, I thought, why not, put that into practice? So when I was building my team in quite a few organizations, mentoring became a key concept in some of the leadership skills that I tried to pick up. And I'm hoping that, the team members that have worked with me actually appreciated the thought that went into it.
Oh, I see. So you were a recipient of mentorship, and when you had some bosses who were just purely bosses and not mentoring bosses, you felt like it might not be such a two-way relationship. Is that what I'm hearing?
So people who are a little bit more nurturing and who I felt were keen on mentoring me, they had a genuine interest in my career development. And that made a lot of difference to me, right? If someone took an interest in you, and I remember a boss who said, Lin, don't worry about this project. I have every confidence that you'll do well in it. Why are you hesitating? Why not go for it and lead the project? And that gave me a lot of confidence, to do my very best. And if that is so impactful for me, I thought that if I can share that with my team members, how much more impactful it would be for them as well.
Yes, for sure. So going back to mentorship, that's a very big word. And personally, I've always been curious, how does one go about looking and seeking out a mentor? How does it actually work? And actually my question is, are there mentors who don't actually know that they're acting as mentors?
I think that happens in the workplace a lot. So for me, maybe I take myself as an example. I typically look for colleagues that I respect, senior colleagues I respect and I want to work with, and already maybe I have the opportunity to work with them in a project. So generally, sometimes I ask them out for coffee. If I need a specific piece of advice, I do ask them out for coffee, and they are actually quite genuine. They are happy to share their thoughts, their views as well. So in a way, I've treated them as a mentor, but they don't know that I'm treating them in that fashion. So I think that's possible as well.
Yeah. So I think a lot of younger ones out there, I mean, I'm not that young, but I still want to, I'm still in search for that mentor.
We are forever 21.
Yes, forever 21. I like that. So say, for instance, you want someone to be your mentor. I think it's intimidating to say, hey, can you be my mentor? So I'm just curious, because mentorship is such a big passion for you. Have you had people come up to you like, Lynn, I really want to be your mentor? How does that mentoring relationship even start?
As in, people want to be my mentee or my mentor?
Mentee,
yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, I have requests for that. And generally, I say I'm happy to help. And then I will say, how about we do a session to just get to know each other first, right? Because mentorship is built on trust. And in order for that trust to develop, both parties needs to come together and build that safe space for both parties to share together. Because some of the conversations we have can be really private. Some of the conversations we have may go really deep. And if you want to be a good mentor, actually, sometimes you also ask the difficult, challenging questions. And to me, I wouldn't actually start the first meeting with asking difficult questions. I would like to build the relationship first, understand the mentee better, understand where the mentee is coming from before I step in to help him or her. So we had former mentees. So I had programs in my organization where we had former mentees that were assigned to me. But informally, I'm also happy to meet up with other colleagues for coffee chats if they need a piece of advice. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like the ideal mentorship relationship. So there's also this concept of reverse mentoring, which we have discussed before. Could you share with our listeners what are your thoughts, insights, and experiences, in terms of reverse mentoring?
Okay, so this is kind of linked to, would someone know that they're mentoring you?
Yes.
So would someone know that they are reverse mentoring you, right? So I can distinctly remember two mentees that were assigned to me. One of them actually is brilliant. He's really bright, really smart. And I was trying to find out about his passion, and he started talking about digital assets, blockchain technology, even before those words were, as in spoken of so frequently now. So they are, at that time when he spoke to me about them, they were not buzzwords yet. I really enjoyed learning from him. So in a way, he was reverse mentoring me, right? Because I knew so much more about blockchain, digital assets, NFTs, tokenizations, even before they become buzzwords of the financial services industry. And there was another lady I remembered. She told me, Lynn, in this mentoring relationship, I would like you to help me build my personal brand. And I was floored. I was impressed. I was like, wow, this young lady, she was close to 30, maybe 20-something. She came to me and said, building personal brand. As a young lawyer, I wouldn't even have thought about building my personal brand, right? I'll be thinking about how do I make sure I read all this legislation and case law and translate them for my bosses. I wasn't even thinking about, building my own personal network, my own personal brand, but she was really focused on that. And I learned a great lesson from her. She taught me, she said, she used to be a teacher before she joined our organization. And she said, when a teacher walked into a classroom, some teachers, they command so much presence, so much respect, students immediately stop talking. And whereas, there are some teachers who walk in, and then the students will look and then continue whatever they're doing, right? So it's about the personal presence, and that impacted me quite a bit. So I also started thinking about what's my personal brand about? What do I want? What's the image that I would like to convey to people? Yeah, so those were lessons that I learned, and in some ways, I thought they were reverse mentoring me.
Yes. Wow, that's so impactful, because she was just going for it. Like, Lynn, teach me about personal branding. And in saying that, she was saying that I admire your personal brand. Tell me how you did it for yourself. So maybe I can have some hacks and shortcuts.
Yes, that's right. And I didn't even think about it, right? I wasn't intentionally building my own personal brand.
Okay, impressive. And Lynn, so in your coaching and mentoring journey, could you share with our listeners some key lessons which then set you up for success later on?
So some of the key lessons that I have learned is, do not make assumptions. Yeah, so I had, most of the time mentees come to me and they said, these are my goals, help me achieve them. So I had a really, really interesting mentee, also officially assigned to me, and she specifically requested for me. So I was actually quite honored, and it was really interesting working with her. She told me, oh, don't talk to me about goal setting. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in how you think. I'm interested in why you make certain decisions. I'm interested in how you build your personal brand. So she was interested in seeing a different perspective. She says what you want to do may be different from what I want to do. And your definition of success may be different from my definition of success. And that I think is really true. I think sometimes, we are so goal-focused, given Singaporeans, so goal-focused and objective-driven, we forget that actually all of us have different needs, different desires, and different dreams. Yeah. So we do not want to pursue the wrong things in life. We want to pursue our dreams that really matter to us.
Wow. And how did that relationship continue? Because you're saying don't make assumptions about people's definition of success, which I couldn't agree more, because in fact, my own definition of success has evolved over the years. I used to think that okay, the typical Singaporean, the 5 C's, and therefore I'm successful. I don't have a country club membership, but I still feel like I am successful in my own right. I have a family, I have my health. There are a lot more things to life than just material goals. But yeah, different people are motivated by different things. Then does it mean that you should seek out a mentor who has similar values and similar goals to you?
Okay, yes and no. So it depends on what you want to achieve out of the mentoring relationship. And I would actually advise most people out there to build their own network of mentors. You shouldn't be just speaking to one person. You should be speaking to several persons to get their different ideas and perspective. So if you have a mentor who's quite similar to you, it's great. You can go to that mentor to ask for advice on how do I navigate the industry? How do I navigate the organization? How do you achieve your current goals? I'm also working towards them. But you should also have other mentors who give you a different perspective to life. And I think it makes the life a lot richer and rewarding, to see different perspective and realize that, actually, I may need to rethink this particular dream I have. Maybe I should change, in some of the, in some of the goals. Like when I was younger, I thought that I would like to make partner in a law firm, and I was really working towards that, putting in a lot of hours and actually striving really hard to do well in my work. But life took a turn. I got pregnant, I had a child. My husband said it's not sustainable to continue working in the law firm with those horrible hours, and I had to leave the law firm to find another occupation.
And
right?
look what has taken you.
So I'm thankful that I made that leap, and I'm thankful to my family, my husband, for being so supportive all these years.
Yes.
So at the end of it, in a way, I owe my achievements to my family. I actually think they are my greatest motivation.
Very heartwarming, and I'm sure a lot of people that resonates with a lot of people, including myself. Because at the end of the day, what is success? Yes. Without the nearest and dearest to you, who are there for you and cheering you on. I'm sure there are many listeners out there who either want to be mentors to others or they wish to be mentored too. Is there anything personally very satisfying about being a mentor that you've experienced? Could you share with us a particular story?
Okay, but that's again my personal story.
Yes, your personal story.
I enjoy people, talking to people in general. I enjoy helping people grow. I enjoy helping people learn. And I take a lot of joy in watching the people around me blossom, right? So I actually have in a way, for my own selfish reasons, I derive a lot of joy from seeing whether my kids, my team members grow and succeed. So I always tell my team managers, we set up each other for success. Yeah, that's really important.
Very impressive and inspirational. So what if I'm looking for a mentor, and actually just to share, and I hope he's listening to this, I do have a person outside of my industry who has become a business mentor to me. He is from Europe, and he's completely taken a very different career path, and that helped to expand my horizons. So, but let's say I'm 20 something, I'm listening to this, and I'm like, wow, Lynn, you're so successful. You have this team that they have easy access to you. What if I don't have access to that? Then how do I go about, looking for that somebody?
So look around your current network first. Think about building your network and enlarging your network. And sometimes it's okay to ask. All of us are daunted. Oh, should we ask? Should we not ask? But find your own voice. Try to take the courage to ask someone, oh, I'm interested in speaking with you because I saw that you really did this project really well. I want to learn how you ran that particular project given the many different hurdles that you had encountered. Would you like to share with me? I'm happy to buy coffee and then we can have lunch. And I think most people would be happy to share. They wouldn't reject you. Even if they're busy, they'll say, I may not have time now, but let's fix a time maybe 2 or 3 months down the road.
So it's about having that courage to ask. Because if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And okay, so this ties in very nicely to the next question, which is the last question. If someone is facing challenges at their workplace and exploring other options, or maybe facing a crossroads in their career, what would you recommend as a first course of action? Would it be to seek out a mentor, get a coach, or maybe both?
Actually, I say speak to their family first because their family know them the best, right? So I remember, again, drawing back on my own experience, I was at crossroads. I had 2 job opportunities. One was with a financial institution, another was with an electronics company. The electronics company wanted me so much, they were willing to actually pay me more than what the financial services industry was offering me. So I spoke to my husband about it. I said, all things being equal, shouldn't I take the job that pays me more? Right? That was quite, in a way, how you think when you're a young lawyer, you're a young person in the workplace. And my husband very wisely told me, no, I actually think you will enjoy the financial services industry a lot more. You have an interest in how the financial systems work. You are definitely interested in how financial institutions make money, how they help their clients make money, and it's something that you will enjoy a lot more in the longer term. So he actually told me that the job opportunity in the financial services industry, it will be more attractive for me in the long term. And I took his advice, and it has been, since that advice, it has been more than 10 over years since I took his advice. That was in 2006. And I've never looked back, never regretted my decision. So yes, it may be tempting to, every time you encounter a problem, it may be tempting to, should I ask this person? Should I ask that person? But really look at your own network of friends, your family. They know you best. They will know what personality you have, what would suit you. And sometimes they will provide the best answers for you.
Yeah. Wow, that's very powerful. So that's been 16 years, in the making. And it's true because the people around you know you best, and they probably are able to tell you what you might not want to hear sometimes. And actually, because in my line of work, when someone faces a few job options, it can be very confusing. Which one do I go for? And then if they ask 10 people, everyone has a different opinion. So sometimes, sometimes it's good to speak to your family members first and maybe just seek the advice of a few selected people,
yes.
I think.
And then eventually you have to go with your own gut, right?
Yes.
Like which one would suit you in the long term? Because innately you should know what you truly want.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Lynn. So now that we've heard from Lynn, the lawyer and the mentor, before we wrap up the podcast, let's get personal and we'll get to the rapid fire round of questions. So, Lynn, when you think of the word successful, who's the first person who comes to mind and why?
I shared with you earlier on that, right?
Yes.
Michelle Obama. So she struck me as someone who who actually has a great family life. You know, she has 2 beautiful kids, loving husband. She advocates for education, for healthy living, and she is passionate about what she wants to do with her life. So that was very inspiring for me. And I thought that she's really successful because she's able to do all these things and continue to enjoy life. So that's my definition. And I also wanted to share that everyone do have different definition of success. You know, for me, it may be Michelle Obama. For someone, it may be Mother Teresa, for example.
True.
And that's fine,
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. And do you have a quote you live your life by or think of often?
Yes. So Helen Keller. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. So I always think that you should try. If I'm interested in something, I should at least try it once.
Well said. And last, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Okay, this must be from a book that I've read by John Maxwell. He actually highlights lead yourself first before you lead others. So that was a principle that I've applied to myself all the time that I've been working.
Wow, amazing. So thank you so much, Lynn, for being a guest on the show. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to do this. This has been very insightful and very inspirational. I'm sure it's inspired many people to go out and seek a mentor if they have been sitting on it and procrastinating. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed myself today.
Thanks so much. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, then be generous and share it with as many people as you can. Rate it, review it, and follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening. Join us next time to find out what could be in store for us after the bar.